Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to let folks get settled in virtually here. We still have a few that are getting connected to audio. Let's give them a chance to join us. Great to see some familiar names and faces this morning. Just want to say thank you to all of you for joining us. And we're just going to let folks get settled in, and then we are going to get started. What a great session we've got planned for you all today. So I'm hoping that you'll find some meaning and significance in today's session. Again, it's great to see some familiar names and faces joining us today, and we're so happy to have you here for this session 2 of our Internal Family Systems series. My name is Steve Steiny. I am with the National American Indian Alaska Native HTC, and I'll be your host today, getting us started, and then I'm going to turn the floor over to my colleagues and friends for today's session. So again, I want to welcome you all. This is session 2 of our Internal Family Systems introduction series. Today, we're going to be touching on systems, mirroring systems, compassion instead of burdens. And we've got some wonderful speakers returning to us. We're going to keep our eyes open for Dr. Dan Foster. We're hoping he can make it in today. So I'll ask my colleagues to keep an eye for him in the audience, and we will welcome him when he arrives. And I also have with us several other speakers today, colleagues and friends of mine as well. So we're happy to have you here. I've just got a couple of introductory slides to go through, and then we're going to get started. So again, welcome to session 2. This event, as most of you know, is brought to you by the National American Indian Alaska Native Addiction Technology Transfer Center. We are located at the University of Iowa. We are part of a larger national network made up of 10 regional centers, a national Hispanic and Latinx center, as well as a ATTC network coordinating office at the University of Missouri. This project is supported and funded by SAMHSA. The content is developed by the presenters, and the opinions expressed today do not necessarily reflect the views or policies of SAMHSA, HHS, or the American Indian Alaska Native HTC. We are going to be offering 2 NADAC-approved CEUs for today's event. You can request those when you hear from us in our follow-up email. We'll also make any slides available that the presenters are comfortable sharing, and we are also recording this event and plan to add that to our archives, and we can make a link available to the recorded event so that you can share that with friends or colleagues that were not able to join us today. Lastly, I'll post in the chat box later. I don't think this is the correct link for today's event that you're seeing. I have an updated one, but I will post in the chat box later. Encourage you to take a few moments to fill out this short survey. We have added a couple of short answer questions to this that will allow you to give us feedback in your own words, and that's my favorite kind of questionnaire, is one that I can hear directly from you. These surveys are private and confidential. They're not mandatory to complete, but we really always appreciate your feedback and response. I know we're gathered here virtually today, but I do want to take a moment to acknowledge the land and pay respect to the indigenous nations whose homelands were forcibly taken and inhabited. please take a moment to read this land acknowledgement that was created by 3 former members of our team, Ella and Keely Driscoll and Mr. Sean Bear of the Meskwaki settlement. Thank you. Well, without further ado, I would like to introduce our speakers today. As I mentioned earlier, Dr. Dan Foster will hopefully be joining us for part of today's session. Doc, if you're out there, just haven't had a chance to check the audience to see if you've joined us, but we'll keep an eye open for you and hopefully have you join us in subsequent sessions, if not today. I also have here my colleague and friend, Dr. Suzan McVicker. Really happy to have her as part of this project, and have really enjoyed getting to know her in these last few months. So welcome, Suzan. Always glad to have you here and be with you. I also have Mr. Warren Bim Pourier. Bim also is someone I recently met, and really happy to call him a colleague and a friend as well. So Bim will be also contributing and part of today's discussion as one of our speakers. So Bim, great to have you here. Great to be with you. And lastly, we have a special guest. He was on for a little bit in our initial session, and we've invited him back. We took a vote and decided to invite Kiave back. I'm kidding. I've worked with Kiave for the last 3 years virtually, and got to meet him last year at one of the trainings we put on there in North Carolina in his home community. Kiave is one of our consultants, and we've invited him into this series to contribute as well. So, Kiave, I know you had to step away for a moment, but hope you're here with us, and always enjoy working with you and being part of projects, working collaboratively with you. So great to have you here, little brother. I really appreciate you. So thank you. I'm going to pull these slides down just for a moment while I load up the other deck. Kiawe, thank you so much, and I hope you guys are all able to hear the flute music in the background. I've turned it down a little, but this is also work by Kiawe. He recorded this in his car, so I said that must be your mobile studio. So we're really happy to have him share that with us as well. And I forgot to mention, we have Julia Sullivan here, also an IFS person. I'll just say that. I've recently met Julia, introduced to me through Dr. McVicker, and we're hoping to involve her in future sessions here in the remaining sessions that we have. So Julia, thanks so much for taking the time to be here today, and it's been great to finally meet you formally via email. So yes, at this point, I want to turn opening remarks over to Suzan and our other speakers. So Suzan, take it away. You have the floor, and let me know if you want me to bring up the slide deck at this point, or how you want to handle the polling questions as well.
All right. Wopila, Steve. Ale Wado Ski Peave. It's wonderful to hear a prayer in what is some of my ancestors' language. That's the Gituan, or Tsalagi or Cherokee language, which I am learning. And I was able to understand a bit of your prayer. So, Wado. And we have a language in IFS. And for those of you who are brand new to IFS and have never been to an IFS gathering, either online or in person, we often do something called going inside. And going inside means just that we begin to pay attention to what is in our inner system. After all, this is internal family systems. So I'm going to invite everyone, and we have people from all over, which means that we have energies combining here. We're all connected, even though we're online. And I'm here with. I live on Ho Chunk territory in the Great Lakes area, and I know that we just have people from all over who are giving generously of your time and your energy this morning. So, as we prepare to go inside and get comfortable, just get comfortable in whatever way that means to you. For me, it might mean leaning back a little bit, and I'll ask while I do that. Can you hear me all right? Is my microphone working all right? Okay, thank you, Julia. Um, yeah, just get comfortable. You might want to close your eyes. We often do that when, as an IFS community, when we go inside, or feel free not to, just whatever is comfortable, because this is in paying attention to our inner systems, we still are aware of our what's going on the outside, our external world. But just as much as you can, I'm inviting you now to perhaps close your eyes, but just take a breath and begin to turn your consciousness, your awareness inside. And we're going to just be open, actually, maybe open a little more than we might usually, but be open to what we see or feel or think of or hear in our inner world. And as you're taking that breath and another, we are the breath of our ancestors. So we're connected right there through breath. And just allow yourself to connect more deeply inside of yourself as you notice your breath. No need to change it or do anything about it. Just notice it for a moment. And notice where your breath might take you as we go inside. Any conversation that you might hear from your parts, those parts of us that sometimes agree with each other and sometimes don't. And maybe we hear them and maybe we don't when we turn our attention inside. But just take a moment and listen around in there and see if there's anything speaking clearly. Or any voice that maybe doesn't often get a chance, but here while we're all connected, perhaps it would like you to hear something. And perhaps there's something speaking to you without using the languages that we're familiar with, maybe speaking heart to heart. And if you aren't noticing anything that you hear, that's okay too. Just see if there is any body sensation that you're aware of, and that we have this wonderful moment when we're all together, opening space together to just notice, what am I feeling? in my place, wherever I'm seated this morning or afternoon. Where in my body is my attention drawn? Our bodies are part of our inner system language too. So as we're noticing or not, it's okay if no place calls to you in your body right now, maybe later. But as we're noticing, if there is a place or a couple places where maybe something doesn't feel particularly good, see if we can just open a little bit more space around that. Just give it a little more, well, breathing space, you might say. And as each of us does that, maybe that opens a little more space in our whole circle, our whole large circle. And just continue noticing maybe a place that's quite distant from the one that you were paying attention to that, again, doesn't usually get your attention. But we're inside welcoming our our different parts to have our attention right in this moment. So just continue for another minute, noticing what is happening in your inner world, how some parts in your inner system feel about it, think about it. And as we do that together, let's let's just take a moment of silence and I will call us when it's time to return. So when you're ready, just slowly bring yourself back to our online gathering. And Julia and Steve, if we open this to the chat for people to just put a word in if they'd like to, what this was like for them, what this going inside in an IFS way was like for them, would you two be willing to just alternately read aloud anything that anyone would like to say for their parts or what this experience was like as we're all returning? Thank you. So just a few of the, if people are comfortable in commenting. Thank you. Julia and Steve, can you see the chat there to start reading
Yeah.
aloud a little bit?
Relaxing,
Calm, peaceful,
soothing,
necessary.
what a great grounding exercise, much needed, as I had to reel myself back in from my scattered thoughts.
Calm, connected.
Relaxed,
Calming.
feeling healing energy,
Present.
peaceful,
So thank you so much for those of you who are willing to share, knowing that we're being recorded. And let's just take a gentle transition into, I think what's up next, Steve, is some polling questions.
Yes. Um,
So I'll let you explain how we're going to do that this morning.
yeah, we're going to be on a poll here. We're going to be on a roll here in just a moment. I think we've got a few polling questions, and um, some of these are foreshadowing a little bit of what we're going to be touching on today. So let's go ahead and try that first polling question and see what you all think about this. This polling question is entitled "Got Compassion?" Hopefully you can see this polling question. Are folks seeing this? Just take a few moments if you can. The question for those of you that may not be able to see this is, with whom have you experienced the most compassion for in your life thus far? And these are anonymous, so we're not calling anybody out or identifying anyone.
Steve, I don't know if I'm the only one who just doesn't know how to do this, because when I do get the items, but what do I do to choose them?
You should have an option to choose an answer.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, you just click on the dot in front of the word.
Uh-huh.
And then there's two other questions, Steve. I'm assuming you're going to let us know what those are.
Yeah, I don't know for sure. It looks like those may have gotten loaded inadvertently. I have some other polling questions, but these two bottom ones are just blank. So I don't know what happened there exactly, but just
So
focus
should
on
we, will randomly, it won't let us submit unless we complete all the questions. So
Oh,
just
shoot.
randomly choose anything. How about that
Yeah,
for
just for the
question
bottom two,
2 and 3?
that's just an error on my part. So
Okay.
just focus. You can click on anything on the bottom too, but those questions are actually in a different poll. So just click on anything you want to on those bottom two. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what's happened there. That's a polling error on my part. But focus on the top one. And it looks like we've got. Oh yeah, it looks. Somebody said I closed the poll. So let's see if I can reopen that. Let's see. Oh, hopefully I won't lose the answers here. Oh boy.
It's okay. It went to the next poll. But
Well,
that's okay.
I'm trying to take it out of that. Let's see. Why is it doing that to me? Yeah, we don't. I don't want to. I don't want that poll up yet. Let's try to relaunch this one, and hopefully I won't lose. Let me see if I can go in and relaunch this. Oh yeah, if I relaunch this first poll, it's going to clear the answers. So I'm just having a little senior moment here with these polls. Let's go ahead and are you seeing the results of these, everyone?
Yes, very interesting.
Yes.
Thank you.
So that at least gives us we didn't get as much response as I had hoped, but you should be seeing and Susan, I can let you talk a little bit about the results that we're seeing.
Yes, I will. Once we um, get through, if we can get the other two
Yes.
inquiries.
Yeah, let's see if I can get the other polling questions. I'm going to stop sharing this one, and we're going to close that, and let's go to the next polling question. Okay. Let's try relaunching this one. I'm going to relaunch this poll, folks. I put this up a little too early, so I'm going to relaunch this poll, and this poll is entitled "Systems Everywhere." The question is, which two systems have the greatest influence on your daily life today? I know we gave folks quite a few choices, but we're asking you pick your kind of your top two that resonate with you. Oh, good. We're getting good response here. We'll give a few more minutes to let folks respond here. No, I don't know why it's ending the poll like that for me. I don't know what's going on here. These buttons are not cooperating with me. Every time I move the mouse, it wants to shut the poll down. Okay, let's try and. Sorry about that, folks. It's more of this Zoom learning curve with the polls. Sometimes they have a mind of their own. Okay, we've got those of you that had to click on these twice, and I apologize for that. Let's see if we can't. Okay, great. We've got about 65% of you chiming in here. Again, the question is, which two systems have the greatest influence on your daily life today? Pick two. I'm going to try and end this poll here in just a couple seconds without losing the results. Okay. And there's the results of that poll, Susan. I hope you can see those.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And now let's try that. Let's try that final poll question, and this one may. Oh, I think I have to stop sharing that other one first. Yeah, there we go. Okay, let's try this last poll question. This one involves. It's entitled "My Inner Parts," and the question is, which internal parts are you aware of today? And I think you can pick. Multiple answers here. And I think when I spoke with Susan about this, some of the terminology will make more sense as we talk today. So. Yeah, we're getting good response here. I appreciate everyone putting up with my limited polling skills here. Okay, and here, give a couple more minutes. We've got about 70% of you responding. Let's go ahead and we'll end this poll here in just a moment. appreciate everyone participating. And Susan, I'm going to end that poll and share these results. So there are the results for that poll.
Okay.
And it's nice to see there are a few of you that,
All
are
right.
asking, I have inner parts.
Yeah. Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody's patience too. I worked as an IFS trainer long time ago when IFS was new. And every training team that I was on for the first few, Dick Schwartz, the founder, whoops, I'm not getting this. This my inner parts just won't go off my screen. Is it just on mine?
Yeah, I think if you, as a co-host, you can stop sharing.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyway, this was like in the late 90s, early turn of this century. And whenever we would try to do anything using technology, and back then it certainly wasn't online, but it was always fun because it was just sort of like, home movie night. And that's the same kind of patience and fun and slowdown that we hope works this morning.
We can look at any of those results again, Susan, if you want to refer to them
No,
later.
no, I'm good. I'm good with that. It just
Okay.
is taken me back to a certain comfortable feel in the IFS community. So I'm going to take the results of these in reverse order here. It seemed like most people were aware of most parts. So we've got an awareness of parts in this circle. A lot of you who have probably done IFS work before. And then with the middle inquiry about our inner systems and what was the greatest influence on our daily life, this is the inner systems, awareness of our inner systems, and then work systems. I'm glad to see natural systems there too, because I know getting out into nature changes my internal system. It changes all my systems. It changes my nervous system. It changes everything to go out and relate with natural systems. And the whole awareness of our internal systems is does change how we relate with every other system in the universe. So back up to our first inquiry about compassion, and that's part of our what we're talking about today is systems, mirroring systems, all of these different systems in the whole universe, really. And we're going to get to some bigger ones today than usual. The idea of having compassion for ourself wasn't what showed up here. We have more compassion for our family and those we work with, as far as our clients and patients, than for our peers and coworkers. But the thing that I thought was really interesting here was that we aren't offering that compassion as much to ourselves. And just as a preview of what we're getting into this morning is BIM is going to be helping us to learn to do that more, giving us just a simple way to begin to go inside, be aware of our parts and the parts in ourselves, and offer more compassionate witness to ourselves. So thanks everybody
Yes.
for showing up with the poll. Now it's back on my screen. There it's gone. Okay, so at this point, before I introduce where we're going with these bigger systems that mirror other systems and what might happen if we added more compassion in, I wonder if there's anything that Keave or BIM might want to say about where we've come so far.
Is it all right, Bim, if I go ahead and speak?
Yeah,
Do you want to?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Good.
Yes.
Keawe, we can hear you.
Okay, good. So as I started looking at, because I'm new to IFS as a system, and I started to look at the model and started to extrapolate some data on my own, and I started to see some correlations come up between my traditions, teachings, and I have a few things, a few slides within there to go, but I really like that this is an immersive model of being what's in, you know, an open system or an open self-awareness system that allows for many different people to contribute, or many different parts of ourselves to contribute as a whole, and being able to look at it more immersed within an idea of relation and connection. And so I wanted to thank you guys for allowing me to come on here and speak my piece as it pertains to me. And I use tribal affiliation and point source of in knowledge for me is being immersed within the land and the traditions that were passed on to me by my mentors, and most of which who are passed on now. But it's really nice to see the threads being connected between other pieces of what I am still working on for myself, and the data that I've uncovered and started to explore with this IFS system.
Well, Keawe, Wado, I so appreciate your expressing this, and it really overlaps with my story about IFS in Indian country, because I had been an IFS practitioner, trainer, consultant, teacher for a number of years, as I was mentioning. And then my aunt started talking about our ancestry and Cherokee ancestry. I'm not enrolled, I'm a descendant. And so I decided to come down to the Kuala boundary where Keawe, you are right now. And that was where I first put things together as I started learning about that traditional way of life, the traditional ways of healing, that openness, that open to share, that how important tohi, peace, calmness is. That is where I first began to see that, oh, I think there's a big resonance here with the IFS way and the Cherokee ways. So that was over a decade ago, and I'm just delighted to have you here today to talk about some of your story and being here with us, because IFS, as this quote from Dick Schwartz says, is more than a therapeutic technique. It's a framework and a practice for us to develop love for ourselves, that self-compassion, and for each other. So anything else that would like to be said by our team members here? We'll get to speaking for parts of those of you who have logged on later, but anything else from our team right now before I introduce a little bit of where we're going?
I just now thought of something, but for me, when I was looking at this and we were talking about it, I kind of have a in my head, I know what a system is, but so my curiosity took over. So I looked up a definition of it, and a system is a set of parts that interact and affect each other, thereby creating a larger whole of a complex theme. So it's kind of ties in with what we're doing today, or or the way I feel like, or the way my perceptions of things. And so just wanted to put that out there.
Wopila Bem for giving us that framework really of a definition of
Yeah.
systems. So yeah, where are we going today with systems and compassion? We have something so special. It's never been done before, as far as I know. This is a first where we have indigenous cosmology, indigenous traditional ways coming together with IFS and the conceptual framework and practice, and having people who know, those who know your indigenous traditions, share how the two walks come together. So first, Bim is going to share with us some of how the sky world and the earth world relate and mirror each other. And Bim can correct me as he moves along. This, since this is this is my first seeing this, understanding this, but how the above and the below systems interrelate with each other, and some of the parts in constellations, both above and below, interact, connect, relate with each other. And then Keave is going to offer very similar traditional wisdom knowings on how above and below the constellations and some of the Cherokee sacred places and homeland places come together. So this is just really a special way of looking at what happens when we open to receiving the knowings, and we offer our compassion, our understanding, our respect for the teachings that we're receiving. So Bim, or Steve, actually, could we have Bim's slide, and then I think we can get going here. Thank you.
I don't see a slide.
Well, it's coming, Bim.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, well, that slide's getting there. Just wanted to say, Pete Washte relatives, and that before we started, just wanted to say a few things that I guess that these are what I'm about to share is things that I've learned through IFS, but it's my perception of IFS, and even the culture is my perception. Maybe the Book of Bim and what I heard and what I seen in the culture, and then tying that perception together. So I don't want to say that I'm representing IFS or this is the way in the culture. And I believe that in all our cultures we have our creation stories, and we have a lot of things that are similar in our culture. So I not trying to be anybody. I'm really just a common man, and just here to share my perception of how I see IFS and how I tie in the culture with it, the little bit of the culture that I know. I call myself a born again Lakota because 42 years ago I went to treatment and I have 42 years of sobriety, but that began my journey and my search. And I really have a strong passion for healing and finding different ways to heal myself and our people. So I guess we can begin. Oh, that slide, can we put that one on later? Steve?
Yes, which slide are you thinking?
The mirroring of the
Oh, yeah.
The stars with the black
Yes.
hills.
Yes, let me take this one down. I'm sorry, I misunderstood you.
Yeah.
Let
Right,
me,
the one that Ben wants is in my slide deck, Steve.
it is, that's what I.
No, not that one.
Oh, not that one. Which,
This is a book that is very helpful for understanding IFS and addictions. It's just hot off the press. You can get it on Amazon and the IFS store by Steve Sykes, Dick Schwartz, and Martha Sweezy.
Not that one, Steve. I think it's down, scroll down. It was a picture of the constellations in the sky, and then a mirror of the Black Hills are.
Right.
It's farther down, isn't it, Susan?
Yes, I think it's slide number 7.
okay.
Not
yeah,
that one.
It's in that deck.
Yep.
Yeah.
Slide 7, I got
Yep.
it.
Yeah, there we go.
Got it.
So, and this is from the Lakota Star Knowledge book, and again, there's different stories and different even within our tribe. Remember that there's different perceptions and different thinkings of this. This is I think Sente Gleshka University down in Rosebud came up with this star knowledge book or star map. And so for me and my thinking, and I live like 7 miles away from my hometown of Kyle. I work at Little Wound School there as a counselor, but maybe I spend too much time in the Badlands by myself. But so the thing of this star map is that there's constellations up in the sky, which form a hoop or a circle. But at different times of year, the sun, where it's positioned and the way the earth is positioned, instead of landscape, there's a different starscape that's presented in the night sky. And so when the sun is positioned in a certain way, and our ancestors knew this, and so that like where the teepees are, that's the winter camp. That was during the winter. And those constellations that it's pointing to represent that. And then around the middle of April, well, there's different perspectives on when the dates and time are, but in the book it says that it's the middle of April that Pleiades lines up with Blackout's Peak up in the Black Hills, and that was a ceremony to welcome back the thunders. And then in around the middle part or later part of May, they went to the middle of the Black Hill, or the Black Hills to Peshla, they call it. And that was to give offerings of water, seed, and meat for the meat eaters, and to honor that. And that to honor that, I think it's, I don't have my glasses on, but Beltrages or something is the constellation that represents that. And then they would travel to around the spring equinox. They would go to Matotipila, which is Devil's Tower, what they call Devil's Tower, and that was represented by Gemini and 6 other stars. And that's when they would perform the Sundance. But it was believed that when that ecliptic of the sun and the earth are lined up on those days, it created a vortex or a mirroring, and energy would come down at those sites, and when you did those ceremonies. So that's part of the mirroring. So in my mind, this is the part that maybe is the Book of Bim, but in the mirroring of what happens in the universe is mirrored here on Earth. And for me, it's like that energy then is mirrored in our home, and then it's mirrored in our body. And to me, it's that vibrational light energy from the universe, or also from the creator. And I think that they respected those ceremonies. And even the teepee, and an elder told me that, and I, just a sidebar, I promise I'll try to tie this into IFS as later on, but even with the teepee a long time ago, he told me the story of the teepee was that the 3 poles represent, the first 3 poles that you tie together represent the past, the present, and the future. He said, you learn from the past, you live in the present, and you plan for the future. And then each one of the other poles that are tied on represented the values. And when the frame was done, that represented the woman because she was the backbone of the nation. And the hide, the covering, represented the man because his job was to protect. And the pegs that held it together represented the children. So because they held everything together. And so that was like, and the way the teepee pole is, remember the teepee poles, it kind of creates a vortex itself, how they go up. And that's just the mirroring of that allowing that energy to come in. And the way I thought about it is like a long time ago, even though it was not like the shelters that we live in today, but that shelter was probably more sacred and a reminder of how to live, how to live with creation, how to live with the creator. So so that's kind of, so that the universe, the stars, the light, mirroring the earth, mirroring the our homes, and then our homes collectively together created a community. And I believe that like in the middle is a medicine wheel. They use that for a chunkleshka, they called it. But I believe that's like, for me, like returning, there's a center in that chunkleshka, and that system, the system of life and the way we lived and the reminder of the values was that like when I look at the medicine wheel, this is just the book of Bim now, this isn't from anybody else. But if we look at the medicine wheel, oh, can you put that medicine wheel back up there, Steve? So the medicine wheel, and I use this in my own life, and I, for some reason, I always look at things when I have to do something, I look at it through the lens of the medicine wheel. And like the black quadrant, just for this presentation, or when I meet with children or meet with so you have to watch your physical diet, what you put in your body, your nourishment. And a long time ago, they lived in a healthy, nourishing way. The foods were all natural. And then you have to watch what you put in your body. So like if your physical diet or what you put in your body is unhealthy, like drugs or alcohol, it's going to have an impact on this circle. And then the next quadrant, I said, that's your mental diet. The thoughts you think determine how your mood and how you're going to feel and your way of life. And it's kind of interrelated, because if you put whatever you put in your body is going to affect how you think. And how you think is going to determine sometimes what you put in your body. And then the next quadrant to me is, I mean, you could use the medicine wheel for about anything, but the next quadrant is our social diet, who we hang around. If we hang around positive people and people that are passionate and on their journey, we're gonna we're gonna feel that energy and become part of that energy. But I guess I call it knuckleheads. But if you hang around knuckleheads, you're gonna become a knucklehead. And those are interrelated on how you think and what you put in your body also. And the bottom one is prayer. Spirituality. And spirituality doesn't mean religion, it means spirit, and that we forget to pray. And when I first sobered up, and what I like about IFS is that because when I first sobered up, for some reason, I became aware of parts. And I used to call it the tribal council in my head. And so, and then through that tribal council and different things and going practicing the ceremonies, like I said in my poem, the last time we met, it was that I found my center, I found my spirit. And if you're looking in medicine, well, in the center, if everything's balanced, you'll vibrate to the center, which to me is spirit and being in touch with the creator. So, one of the things I thought of too is that a long time ago, we lived in a good way. They might have been hard times, but it was more easier to be open to spirituality and to walk in that through the lens of that medicine wheel. And like I think Blackout said, the sacred hoop got broken. To me, that's a consciousness. And so, like I said earlier, it's the unit, the stars, the earth, the home, the body, and and inside we have a hoop that's all a mirror. To me, a mirror reflecting off one another. And like what Blackout said, he said the sacred hoop got broken. And when that become fragmented, our parts, our hoop got broken. And when our hoop got broken, it and well, backing up is that the way I looked at the hoop, because I didn't know what Blackout meant by sacred hoop, but to me it was that collective consciousness, that collective universal consciousness. It was one language, one religion, one way of the spirituality, and they were all aware of the values and that connection to the earth and to the stars. And so when that got broken, it got broken through colonization, through the boarding schools, being placed on reservations, and that hoop inside of us got fragmented. And I believe that other energy is still out there, that mirror, but our mirror got clouded up. And so we took on a worldly view rather than a universal view. And those parts become fragmented or shadowed. And that in order for us to heal, and that's what I like about IFS, it's working with those parts that got fragmented or shadowed and being aware of those. And once we heal that hoop inside of all of us or inside of ourselves, we go back to this Chungleshka or medicine wheel. We connect with other people that have healed their hoop inside, and then we start that collective consciousness again to be connected to, as a people, be connected to the universe or the stars or that energy of the creator. And so that's, for me, I guess, like looking at IFS and the model and the parts and being aware of our own parts, that once we heal our parts, we can, we take we heal the hoop inside of us, then we can work on healing and connecting with people to heal that hoop in our tribes, in our people, in our communities, our tribes, and maybe globally. So hopefully I can explain how I see the mirroring of the different systems and being aware of those systems. I know that when my hoop is mending and healing, it has a residual effect on my family. And then it can change the generations. And once again, we could become reconnected or restore the hoop to where it once was. I hope I made some sense there, but that's the way I see it and how I'm connected to, how I feel the model is really connected to the culture. And even when we pray with our Chanupa, we pray in 4 directions, then up above, and then to Mother Earth, and then to our heart, and then with all those directions, it all goes into one. It goes into the bowl, and so we don't look really God as a one entity, but as parts, as a system, and then putting them all together in balance. So I guess I'm kind of got kind of nervous there, and I lost my space, but that's kind of what I wanted to share, and how I see systems working and how I see culture working with IFS. Oh, and one of the things I think IFS and our ceremonies, working with our ceremonies, can really heal our hoop. I hope I wasn't on mute that whole time.
We heard you.
Yes, Bim, could you repeat that? I accidentally muted you.
Well, I think that we're walking medicine wheels, we got that hoop inside, and if we heal that hoop and then once we heal that hoop, we have that care and concern for the earth, that opens up that mirror, and then that mirror goes back. It's all reflected back and forth again. And so I could see how we lost our connection through that historical trauma and colonization. And I think there's healing the hoop inside now is the way to bring that back individually. And then individually, then collectively.
Yeah, Bim, I'll just jump in here to
Good.
respond to, did this make sense? And you hope this makes sense. It makes perfect sense to me. And what you're talking about, and I'll use your word, hanging with the knuckleheads, or hanging, or hanging with the people who have reconnected their inner relatives or their parts in a good way on the inside, makes a tremendous difference then in our community, and how our communities can heal that broken hoop and restore wholeness. And if we do it at that level, we do it at it goes to all levels, all dimensions. It goes to our ancestors, to our descendants. It goes to those who walk the earth with us today. It changes our worldview. We have the worldview of people who know how to offer compassion and who know how to unburden from the stuff that we absorbed during colonization and the ongoing colonization and structural violence attempts. We know how to do that for ourselves and for and with each other. It just made perfect and beautiful sense to me, Bim. And I am so glad that you spoke for your part. You actually, I heard a couple parts that you spoke for. In the beginning, you said that you had a part that was kind of shy.
Yeah.
And then you said that you had a part that got a little nervous. And, that's part of our work too, is to be able to feel safe enough within ourselves and with the community to be able to speak for, I've got this part and I want you to know about it. I want you to understand what my experience was like here trying to share this. So thank you, Bim.
Thank you, Susan. And I think that even that shy part and that nervous part, my passion for healing of recreating the hoop or healing the hoop is greater than the shyness and the nervousness. So collectively, I hope we can all come together and start the healing.
Yes, thank you so much. Now, I'd like to just put my well, let's have a little conversation with our team here, because we're at 1:11, and we did hear people from webinar number 1. You want more breakout room time. We have that planned for today. And what I'm thinking is that we transition into Keawe's teaching, wisdom teaching from the Cherokee lineage, and then we speak for our parts in breakout rooms. And I do see that we have a hand up, and I think that we can even get to some questions and comments later. How does that sound to the rest of the team?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, looks like Steve's got you all ready to go there. Keawe, are you set to tell us? To me, this is so exciting because I love these places that you are talking about.
Yes. So the idea that I had formed started a little bit last week when I had seen the star map, and I had a question in my mind of why we haven't had a discussion about astronomy before in my culture and traditions, in the mirroring systems that, you know, Ben was talking about. I had decided to bring up a map and to look at our significantly cultural, you know, sites. And what I had found kind of perplexed me a little bit. And I definitely did not see it going the way that I thought it would. And it has evolved since then. So from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, to this, to today. And I'd like to walk you through it as much as I can, quickly, of course, to try to give time for the breakout rooms. So what you see here, the top point on this map is Cherokee, and the point would actually be moved a little bit farther north and to the right. And this is a significant site for us as far as not being in Cherokee specifically, but being at a township where the school sits now, the elementary, middle, and high school sits now. There was a council house fire that had sediment of ashes that were particularly just composed of 7 sacred woods. And it was put in between sediment layers of every 500 years, which is indicative of what we'd call like a capital, or like a place that holds the fire for us. And so I decided that I was going to only choose these kinds of sites, or ones in particular that we had viewed as sacred or important to us, or galkwok to you. So I chose this map, and that first point would be, you know, kind of like a denotation of, you know, just about 1.5 miles upward and to the right, where one of our, they're asking if we can make it full screen there, Steve, or 100% or more than 100, whatever it is right now. And you'll be able to see, you know, Cherokee language here, of course. But the marker that you see says Cherokee, and it would be above where the syllabary is, right to the right of it, for that site. And the next point that you see is Gadua, or our mother town, which is where we have our center fire. Significant point on this one is that it is called Gadua, and that means the center. or the nucleus. And it also had a red bird's grounds right at the bend in between those two dots that I've just spoken of. And you'll see that there's a township known as Bryson City to the left of it. And in between those two spots would be another significant point of cultural knowledge where our two Uctanas were caught and fought each other at this point. Now, as we go down, you'll see that Cowie Mound is the next point here that is in between, right down here to the left, the black, right here. Yes, and you will see that this part in particular is, adjacent to what is known as Niquosi Mounds, which has some particular history about some very otherworldly experiences happening there. But Noquisi in our language means star, the star mound itself. So I thought this would be a particular point of interest to put on the map. And if you can go down, as you can see, it's kind of like a trapezoid piece when we connect the dots. And so I just did some, looking into what constellation would have a trapezoid. And I had found out that on our next page down here, I had turned it to have a mirroring effect. And as you can see, these points, if we were to follow, would mirror the top one as Niquosi Mounds, the second as Cowie Mound as we go down, the third one right here to the bottom would be Gadua Mound, and then the last one would be the mound that would be where our council house fire would be, where the school is currently. So if you'll go down to the Orion Nebula, you will notice that there is a point in which there are 3 stars in a line. And I think that I may have done some miscalculation here. And I believe that that would be Redbird's grounds, Gadua in the middle, and the one right beside it might actually be where the two Uctanas fought. The reason why I think this is statistically important to mention is because if we have an understanding of our relation and our significance within a system outside of our world, then we are doing some introspection as far as a people, because these mounds are massive. When Henry Timberlake had came through our lands, he had explained that he did not even understand that this was supposed to be a building that they were walking into, that it looked like a tiny mountain. And something of that vast imagining, being in physical form on these mounds, to me, specifically states that we had a profound understanding of our relationship with the stars. And if we had an understanding of our relationship with the stars, then we knew that we were mirroring these systems within our environment. We were affecting our environment around us by what we had seen and our understanding. Another point that I would like to mention is that, Bim had mentioned Pleiades, a star formation of 7 stars. This star formation can be seen all around the world, and it's usually known in its inception as the 7 sisters, but Cherokee knows it as the 8 brothers, that they had become complacent of their mothers and started to dance around one of our council houses. And as they danced, they started to rise up into the sky. And one of the mothers came out and grabbed her sons from the leg and held him down to the ground as the others rised. And their stars are the campfires that they keep in the sky. So as I'm talking about this astronomy, I figured that there would be a record of such things more than just our townships or our mounds. And I was reminded of a particular site known as Judaculla Rock. And Judaculla Rock, to me, had been described from one of my elders as a star map, that people are looking at it completely differently than it being it is a two, like it's put on a two-dimensional plane, but it is to be viewed as a, maybe not a 360-degree view, but maybe a 180-degree view. As you'll see that this, and Susan, I want to be honest, I did not know who it was, and I needed to make sure before I had said it before. Milas Parker is the owner of the land that has the rock of, or Judaculla's rock on it, and that is him. He's one of the former owners, and it still belongs to the Parker family, and they've allowed, you know, people to come study this historic site. But as you can see on this rock, there's over 1,500 divots and creations of petroglyphs amongst this map. And if it is seen at a 180-degree view, like a dome, if you will, you'll see that there are large fissure marks made into the mark, or into this rock, from one end to the other. And these was exclaimed to me that it could be our meandering river system and trade points where certain things were active at different times of the year, i.e. the constellations that you see mapped out here on Judaculla Rock. And I thought this was particular of importance because when we observe things from our world, there are certain patterns that we notice, because we are also in orbit, and we could see peculiarities and things that our ancestors have left, such as, you know, a star that wobbles back and forth at a certain time of year, that is up above what is known as Judaculla's hand. It is the seven-fingered hand that you see at the bottom right. It's very massive. It's almost the size of Milas's body itself. But right beside it, you'll see that there is a trajectory pattern of a swirl pattern, and it's all connected, but at one point it has this straight line that rocks back and forth in between them. So I started with this idea, but then I started to profoundly understand myself a little better and think about how those interconnected and immersed systems, while being open to new frames of thought and consciousness to stream from this idea, that our community is built on stuff that I have been, you know, particularly urged towards learning, such as our Cherokee-Dakota dynasty, our community laws and community values, which is a relationship that you have with others. So understanding that each one of these sites and these particular constellations have a relationship between each other. And we must had to have had a relationship with each other to create these sites. That the formation of connection and culture and sharing ideas of marginalized opinions, as well as those shared in continuity with each other, are an important facet of living in a healthy, open system of life, to be able to see those patterns of creation and be able to be a perpetuation of the three main frames of time, which is the beginning, the middle, and the end. And I see this within myself and my familial relationships, as I am a son to my mother, but I am also a father to my daughter. And one day I will raise my daughter to be a person to make decisions And if she has children, then I will give them the love that I could not give to her, so that they will love me in kind while my daughter takes care of me, because I am once a man, but twice an infant. And having this understanding of perpetual time in a loop, I like to call it a donut, because in the middle, it is still reaching towards the outer edges and going back in. I do not know the flow of that life or the continuity of that creation pattern, but I do know in a world where my grandchildren give me the love that I wish my parent had gave me, that I feel we are in a complete system by our relations and our understandings of connections. How we identify ourselves can be protected and perpetual if we so choose. And this goes into the laws of thermodynamics, the first being that love and energy is not created nor destroyed and cannot be. It only transforms into a new form. And the second law of thermodynamics is that what is explained in physics is the arrow of time, that we must have an eventual telos or an end. But if we so choose to look at a donut before we take a bite of it, we cannot see an end, a middle, or a beginning. It is all encompassing and all wrapping towards the inside and outside. It is a continual perpetuation. And if we can participate within the system, our thoughts, our love, our energy, our sharing and connection can continue to grow, expand, regress, and breathe throughout the measure of time. Because I feel within my own perspective that time is a man-made illusion. We participate, as we all do, from our own perspective. And I hope that that was a piece that will be integral to you guys and what you're doing here. It does not take away from the message. Thank you guys for listening.
Lado, Keave, we are in the great mystery here. This was an amazing thing that you put together for us, a profound relationship with what we are doing. These patterns of creation and how our ancestors saw them, saw the relationships, saw the patterns, and how we mirrored them inside of us, and how now we are coming forward today with a different language, the IFS language, and yet the same, I believe, heart meaning, blueprint, pattern meaning. So greatest respect to you and to BIM for putting these together. And now I am wondering, because of I have a good manager part that watches the time, if we want to just speak for our parts. I know I've got a lot of parts that would like to say something and go into breakout rooms, or if we want to first do have BIM lead us in a short self-love exercise. So I'm just taking a group sense here, a group read. BIM, your thoughts?
Should we just do it and then go into the breakout room?
Well, yes, we can. I would,
Or
after you lead us in the self-love, self-compassion, what I'd like to have Steve put up on the screen is how to speak for parts, so we can get practice speaking
okay,
for
right,
parts.
okay. So relatives, again, thank you. And this is just like, even with IFS or anything I do, I never say anything or do anything unless I experienced it and did it myself. So just recently I've been thinking about, I think I got it from Wayne Dwyer in a book, but he said you got to create a gap. And so I kind of call this the gap, compassion gap. But us as helpers and even with the survey, there's a lot of compassion for family and different things. But I really believe, like with the hoop, we've got to learn to have compassion for ourselves. And so when I work with students, I just say, well, take a few moments or a minute. And this space is just to give compassion, love, light to yourself. And 60 seconds isn't very long. And if it's if you consider it 1 minute out of the 24 hours. But so I just ask you all to relax. And just to start with is breathe, do some mindful breathing of breathing slow, real slow through your nose. And just feel the air as it goes up through your nose, down your throat, filling up your lungs, taking it all the way down into your stomach and holding it for a moment, and then slowly exhaling out your mouth. Take it all the way out. And then once again, breathe in through your nose, following it down, just letting anything go that comes to your mind and just focusing on your breath. Taking it all the way down to your stomach. And then slowly exhaling and releasing out your mouth. Real slow. Just feel your body just start to relax. And then one last time, breathe in. Take it down. Hold and then slowly release. And if you feel comfortable, close your eyes. And just for 1 minute. For 1 minute, I just ask you to give yourself that space to just feel that compassion and love for yourself and who you are, and to know that you matter and that you are enough, that you are important, and you do belong. Just continue to breathe and give yourself, starting now, just give yourself compassion, caring, love, light. Knowing that you're important, that you're enough, that you do matter, that you do belong to the hoop. Just focus on that energy inside you. Feel it, experience it. Giving yourself all the energy, love, and compassion. Okay, take a deep breath in again. Hold it all the way down. And this time when you release, just pretend like you're blowing out candles on a cake. Go. And you can, if you have your eyes closed, you could open your eyes and just open your eyes with compassion, love, and light. And I always kind of think that I do that on the way to work, and then I feel like I can't have compassion for other people unless I have it for myself. So again, it's the mirroring and the systems. Thank you.
Wopila Bim. And Steve, can you forward to the next slide that just gives us a little, yeah, there we go. Okay, so today we went inside, we looked at systems, large systems as related to our ancestors and sacred systems and related to IFS. And so speaking for parts is an IFS practice, and it's just to like BIM's exercise of compassion and love for ourselves practice all the time. We're going to put this in the chat so you've got it when you go in your breakout rooms. And I'm going to speak for my parts as an example, and maybe Julia, can I call on you again to speak for your parts as soon as I'm done here? So part of me is astonished at what I witnessed here today with these large systems from tradition, our ancestral traditions. Part of me wonders if we got enough voices into our circle, just that part that's always concerned about enough space for everybody's voice. And another part of me just is eager to have some talk time about what I just experienced. So that if we speak for 3 parts in our breakout room, that'll be good practice. So Julia?
Yes, a part of me is drinking this in like a thirsty soul that is parched and receiving this nourishment like for the first time. Another part of me is angry that this is the first time I've ever heard this put together in this way. And another part of me is feeling a great love for the people who are present, because you showed up and you stayed and you heard and you were able to be a part of this sacred experience. And so that part of me feels this profound sense of gratitude and love for the people who are here.
Gracias,
I've spoken.
Julia. So shall we move into our breakout rooms with this little bit of instruction in the chat, and we'll come back well enough in time to have a closing word.
I've put everybody just randomly assigned into groups of 3, so should be able to consider this assignment and share amongst yourselves a little bit. We'll be back in how many minutes are we gonna? We coming back in
15, I would say.
Okay, that sounds good. We'll I'm gonna go ahead and open the breakout rooms now.
Great. Wolfila, Steve.
Okay. Let's see. Warren, Bim is back. It is has Susan
Yeah, I just unmuted.
There she is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So Wopila, Wado, Miigwech, thank you. Gracias for your patience to get to this point for comments and questions. And I want to answer one of them because this came up in our breakout. There is lots of free information on IFS, videos of Dick doing unburdening. There's one of Kay Gardner doing legacy unburdening. IFS Institute has lots of freebies to read, to watch. So just Google and you'll find something. Okay, so maybe someone just raise your hand or use the hand raise button. So I can't hear the parts inside people's heads. Some people can, but I can't.
Well,
Richard,
I'll speak for my
okay.
parts. We had a technology glitch in our room. One of the participants couldn't connect, but we had a good conversation in terms of taking the idea of speaking for parts as opposed to speaking from parts, and applying it to my co-room participant in terms of applying it to her work. So it was effective practice of the tools.
Great. I'm sorry for the person who had the technical problem, and glad that speaking for two pieces here of this, glad that you were able to have a good conversation with one other person. And I hope that the third person could overhear.
One of the things I forgot to say is that to be a good relative to your parts, like part of the culture here is to be a good relative, but also be a good relative to your parts inside.
So since I know one of the people who was talking about systems thinking here in nature, is there any more that wants to be said about that?
I'll just add that in our session, we were talking about parts, that hearing both perspectives from Bim and Kiowa was this, it was like having the way that I was describing it was like this part was almost like flat, and then all of a sudden it became three-dimensional. And by making those connections, and it just really expanded my sense of consciousness, as I was listening, and it was incredibly powerful to have it all connected on all those levels. So I just very grateful.
Wonderful. So we could have an opportunity to open more space when we went inside in the beginning, and then more space opened for you into more dimensions later. Wonderful. Wado.
Yeah, it reminds me a bit of turtle medicine, right? It's not just the directions, it's also dimensions, and it's inner and outer and above and below and inside. So
So maybe we could do a chatterfall for our closing. Just for refresher on what a chatterfall is. A chatterfall is where we all put one word or something that's quick at a glance to read, because it's all going to come down like a waterfall. And we put it in the chat, but we wait. We wait until I say go to let it flow over the rocks into the chat and down as a waterfall. So let's just take half a minute here and put into the chat what this was like for you today. We'll do two chatterfalls, actually. We'll do the first one. What was this like for you today? And it can just be a word or a phrase, preferably something that's easy to read, just take in. And then after we have a chance to be with that chatterfall, we will give a chance for written feedback by asking, what would you like to see next time? So everybody got something in the chat, a word or a phrase, or are we ready to go with, let's have somebody read some of it out loud. We have a volunteer here. Like Steve?
I'm happy to. Yeah,
Okay,
I think the
Okay.
waterfall is
It's
breaking.
falling.
The waterfall is broken.
Go ahead, read. someone,
Let's
please.
see. We have. I'm scrolling back now. It's happening fast. Relaxing, empowering, awakening, amazed, experiencing, gratitude, grateful, interesting, blessing, spirit expanding, healing my sacred hoop, connecting, interesting, inspirational, gratitude for being on this journey, gratitude, compassion, knowledgeable, grateful, eye-opening, connecting, educational.
Okay, Opula Steve, thank you.
Mm.
And for our final, the waterfall, you just can't hold the water back once it wants to flow.
I know. I had to quickly let that go.
So um, systems are all about feedback. Any living system functions, thrives on feedback. So this one is the same. Please, if there's something that you want to see, do you want to see more about the self? Do you want to see a live demo? Do you want more practice in breakout rooms, like 2 breakout rooms in 1-2 hours? Do you want more about IFS and indigenous tradition, how they might fit together? Whatever you'd like, please. Let's start this chatterfall right now. And thank you so much for coming today in the language of the heart. My first language, of course, is English. I thank you.
Okay, they're coming in. The waterfall is, let's see.
I thank all of you also.
Live demonstration, live demo of IFS, frequent breakout rooms, live demonstrations, IFS and indigenous combination, more on indigenous connections, live demos, live demo, a copy of the Book of BIM. I think that I forgot to add autographed copy. More on IFS, Indigenous Council, live demo, breakout rooms that are functional. Yes, it's important, I think, in the breakout rooms that you have your audio settings set and ready to go. And there's always some glitching in the breakout rooms, but you should be given a prompt to enter the group room that you're assigned to, and then you go in. So if you've not done breakout rooms before, that sometimes can be challenging. Let's see. Yes, I've got thank you from Kiave, more about IFS and Indigenous connections, more visuals.
Right. Thank you, Steve.
Yes.
And there may be more behind the scenes with the technology. Thank you. Thank everyone for being here. And we hope to see you in a month. And
Yes.
have a good day.
Our next broadcast will be May 26th. And I think we're going to talk about the language of IFS. And look forward to seeing you then. We're going to try and get Dr. Foster to join us. If you didn't get a chance, please fill out the survey. If you don't do that today, we'll reach out to you via email, and you can request your CEUs and complete the survey at that time. So again, I want to thank all of our presenters and those on the call today that contributed to this great discussion. So until next time, please stay safe, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay connected, everyone. Bye. Doksha.
Okay, let's see.